What's up, guys? We got a real interesting video today. So I have an LS swapped S10. It's a 4.8 truck. It's been swapped I started to swap like 11 years ago, and then I daily drove that thing for like 7 or 8 years, something like that. And it broke down on me a little while back. I blew the transmission up, testing out some crazy stuff, pushing the limits of the last transmission that I built in it. And since it's got a lot of miles, I daily drove the thing, so it's a lot of daily full throttle pulls. Since the motor has, quite a few miles on it now, a lot of wear and tear, it's definitely got some bearing issues in it, which you can tell by the oil pressure and stuff like that. I decided I was going to just not rebuild the transmission right now and just go ahead and set up a new engine and everything for it. Well, my daily driver Blazer that I was driving around in got rear-ended and totaled a couple months ago, something like that. And so now I'm daily in my C6 Vet, which is fine. I mean, it does a great job at it, but this car is super low. It's lowered over stock, and it's kind of hard to drive down these country roads. So I kind of want my LS swapped S10 back on the road. So we're going to try to fix the transmission in it and just get it back running again for right now, while I go ahead and set up the new engine for it, so I can at least be driving the truck. But yeah, look at this beauty. That is my 97 S10, regular cab, short bed. I've had the truck for, I believe, this month or next month, somewhere in there, it'll be about 14 years I've had the truck. It was originally a 225 speed, but it's been a 4.8 automatic truck for a long time. And yeah, you can crack the 4L60E jokes, because that's what's in it. But I always used it for a guinea pig. I built my own 60s, and I always used it to try out different builds and find out what they could handle tune-wise. And I think I broke the converter on this one. It's a stock stall converter. It's a cheap converter. I think it came from O'Reilly's or Advanced Auto Parts or something like that. So it's no surprise that I'm pretty sure that's what I broke in it with the tune that I was running on it, because I had the lockup strategy a little more aggressive than what I should have had for that setup. But we're hauling it down to the shop now. We're gonna try to get it in there at some point here soon and get the transmission out and make sure it is just the converter. I'll go ahead and tear the transmission down, make sure there's nothing in it, like there's no metal went through it, and make sure it's not the pump that I broke, which it shouldn't be. It has some decent upgrades in the pump. I don't really think that's it. I honestly think it's the converter. But we'll make sure nothing went through the transmission, and if it didn't, put it back together, change out the fluid, put a new converter in it, slap a battery on it. I'm going to have tires because it's been sitting for a little while, and those cheap tires are flat spotted. So drop some tires on it, do some burnouts with it. So that's where we're headed now, though, is down to the shop, cruising in my current daily, my base model Poverty C6. But yeah, we'll see these roads here in a minute, and why I don't want to daily this car down them too much. I mean, it's just a base model Vet. It's not like anything crazy, but it is rough, and it does beat the suspension pretty hard, being as low as what I have this car at right now. Tire pressure monitor dropped out again. So yeah, we're coming up on about some of the worst part of this road too, that I go down to get to the shop every day. That. More than that, I just want to drive my S10. I mean, the Vet's fun and everything, but that truck's a different kind of fun. This car's built to go fast, so it's fun, it's exhilarating and all that. That truck is a little more on the scary side because the platform wasn't built for it. So it's fun, but in a different kind of way. So we're not far from the shop, so I'll get back to you guys here shortly when we start to get it off the trailer. sitting for a little while. It is dirty in here. Really dirty in there. There's probably 100 pounds of dirt daubers living in this thing. It doesn't fire up very well because it's got old gas in it. We're going to try it anyway.
It's weird. I've never...
Oh. It's pretty dirty in here. Still working on converting everything from blue to graphite. Seats and dash have all been changed. The console, the door panels, headliner, carpet, and I think a couple of the rear panels still have to be changed. But yeah, I'm gonna see if she fires up here in a second.
Do you have any clearance on the height?
A little bit. Nah, it's not bad. It actually went on here better than I thought it would. All right. Ah, the jump pack's not biting right.
Okay.
All right. So the suspension's settled because I can't get out.
Go ahead.
Good. There.
Well, that cam though.
There's a little knocking going on in there. I don't smell like gas, it smells burning.
Sounds like there's a little exhaust leak over on the manifold.
Probably. But it does have some bad bearings in it, so. Good.
Yep.
Good.
Let it roll. Get up in the shop.
Yeah.
Go there.
It's been a hot minute since I've been in this thing. Feels good though.
I bet it does.
And I'm a little more motivated to fix it now. Oh.
Now that you drove it for a minute.
Trying not to give it too much gas. Well, trying not to give it too much, what does the gas turns into in there?
Jill.
Yeah. Feeding it some molasses level crap in that tank right now. It's probably going to need a pump. The injector is going to need to be cleaned. Lighting is bad. She sound rough, real rough. All right, guys, we got the truck back in the shop, or in the shop for its first time. It's never been in this shop. It's been sitting in my driveway for a year, 2 years. It's been a while. This is my OG LS swap. This was done. I started this swap 11 years ago. It's been around for a hot minute. It was my daily driver for about 7 or 8 years, and great truck, super reliable. But I use it as a test bed for tuning and transmission builds. And the last time the transmission went, I was testing a real aggressive shift strategy on it and torque converter lockup, and I think I actually broke the converter. And I decided at the time I didn't want to just change the converter. I wanted to actually take it out and take the transmission out, take the engine out, swap to a different engine, because this engine's old, man. This thing's got, it had 130 something thousand miles on it when I put it in here. Like I say, 11 years ago when we dropped it between the frame rails. It's been here for a while. It does have bearing issues. This truck has been around for so long that the Holley oil pans didn't exist. We're long ways away from existing whenever I built this truck. So it has the muscle car pan, also known as the LH8 or the Hummer H3 pan. That's what's on it. It hangs down below the cross member, as they tend to do on the truck setups. And before I built the skid plate, I hit it a couple of times and eventually wore down that little built up area around the drain plug, and the drain plug spun out of it twice. So it hurt the cam bearings a little bit, and I beat on this truck daily. I mean, it never saw a day where it did not go full throttle. It's been incredibly reliable, but it took a toll on it. Bearings have issues. It's always had a lifter tap. It's had that since day one. It's never hurt anything, but the oil pressure is lower than it used to be. So definitely a bearing issue in it. So anyway, I was going to go ahead and put the L33 in it and do that whole build, instead of just doing the transmission. But as I mentioned before, my daily driver got wrecked. I don't want to daily the vet. I kind of miss driving my truck. So we're going to get it back going with a 4.8 in it. We're going to pull the transmission out here in the next couple of days, figure out what I broke. I'll go ahead and get it rebuilt. We'll get it back in here, put some tires on it, put a battery in it, change the fuel out, probably change the fuel pump because it smells terrible. Like, I wish I could smell this. It's horrible. The gas is old. Clean the injectors and everything. Get it going like this, and I'll start working on the L33 because I have everything for the L33. I just haven't had it sent off to the machine shop to have the block and everything done on it. It'll be a cam setup, Gen 4 intake. I've got a billet 92 throttle body to go on it, and a few other goodies. But that's down the road. Priority right now is just getting it running. So let me show you what this thing looks like under the hood. It is dirty. It is really dirty. There is dust on everything. There's this green, grassy mold stuff all over the truck. It's pitiful. It's sat around for a long time. The AC has never been hooked up in here. I was going to hook it up. I never got around to having the lines made. The compressor is on it. It's way down in there. The condenser's on it. Everything's there except the two lines that connect the dryer and the condenser to the compressor. Those aren't there. And so I'll have to replace all that brand new now to get the AC working in it. I just never got around to it before. Didn't bother me, but as I get older, it bothers me more. But yeah, it's filthy. It used to look really clean. The steering shaft is a little tight. I got to scoot the motor back over. At some point, I guess when I hit the oil pan or something, I shifted the motor on the mounts and it started kind of rubbing on the steering shaft there. The ABS is going to go away at some point. The ABS used to work. It worked for years, but at some point the module went out in it. The module's fried, and it will randomly start articulating the valves in the valve body and screwing with the brakes. And last time I tried to stop it with this plugged in, it wouldn't stop. So killed main power to it by just unplugging that so that it doesn't try to kill me again. That'll go away because way down the road at some point it'll have a turbo right here in this area. And to give you a backstory on that, this truck I bought early 2006, sometime January, February of 06. It's been a long time ago. I bought this truck a week before I met my wife. So we actually went on our first date in this truck because I worked in the oil field. My regular truck was just oil field dirty because we used it out in the field. So I drove this one because I just bought it and it was clean. And so it's got a little sentimental value. My wife threatened to, divorce me if I sold it. So can't sell this one. I'll have it forever. I'll have this truck for the rest of my life. It's got a lot of stuff done to it, but nothing too crazy. It's dropped. It's 3.3 dropped. Blocks in the back. Spindle and spring drop in the front. It's been lowered for years. It was lowered before it was an LS swap. It used to be lowered on 3-inch coils, but the coils were too soft for the V8, so now it's a 1-inch coil on a 2-inch spindle. I think it's all DJM in the front, and the blocks in the rear are ground force steel blocks. They have been great. They held up through years of abuse with this V8. I'll show you what the inside of this thing looks like. It's a little dark, but kind of get the idea. So working on converting it over. The truck used to be a blue interior. Originally it was a 225 speed truck, and it had a blue interior with a 60/40 split bench in it. I've changed the dash. The steering wheel is a 98 and up style steering wheel. The console, which I really need to redo. It's getting a little rough these days. The console is out of a Blazer floor shift. It works great. Tow haul functions. It's got an overhead console out of a I forget, like 98, 99 Blazer. It works. Everything in it functions just as it should. Every gauge in here works. Cruise control works. there's literally nothing in here that doesn't work like it did when it was a 4-cylinder. So that was the whole point of the truck, is I wanted to look stock. I wanted to be as stock as it could possibly be, just have an LS in it. That was the original goal. That's going to change a little bit now. But the seats are out of an 03 Blazer, or no, an 03 S10. That's what these come out of. The door panels I still got to find. The headliner, the visors, and the rear trim and the carpet's got to be changed to get it all converted over to graphite interior. And it's dirty in here because it's been sitting forever in a friggin' day. Stock wheels, little moldy grass stuff on there. It's rough. It's got a 98 rear bumper that I've never painted. The truck has a lot of sun bleaching. It's kind of faded out. The paint's real bad on it. I want to have my dad repaint it whenever I get to a point where I'm happy with it mechanically and everything. We'll do the body work and get it painted. The plan was to always paint it Jetstream blue, the C6 Corvette color, because I love that color. It's kind of a pricey color. It's kind of hard to paint. So the plan was to always have it Jetstream blue. But I own a C6 in Jetstream blue now. And now that I own the car in that color, I love the color. Still love the color. I'm just not sure if I want to paint the truck that color, or if I want to go something a little different, a little out there, maybe one of House of Colors blues, something like that. The front end, I plan on changing. The grill I've already swapped at some point. It's a 96, 97 style composite headlight Blazer grill, as opposed to the sealed beam truck grills from 94 through 97. I don't know if I want to keep that and just do a painted color match grill and new headlights and a new bumper and all that, because that stuff's all tore up. Or if I want to go ahead and do the 98, because I do have a 98 and up extreme grill, color matched. Thinking about doing that. I got to change the core support, the headlight wiring, the bumper and the brackets and everything, the grill, all that, to convert it over to a 98 and up setup. I may go that route. I haven't really decided yet. Right now, we're just going to try to resurrect this thing. I wish y'all could smell it, because it smells like the oldest gas you have ever smelled in your entire life. As you can tell from the drive-in, it does not want to run very well at all. This is my very first swap, though. This is the reason why people bring me their stuff. And it's nothing crazy. It's nothing beautiful. I just wanted it to be a stock truck with a bigger engine. That's all I wanted. I did not want an S10 like the old 350 swap trucks I grew up around, where people are riding around with none of the gauges working. There's some big tack screwed to the dash. Things overheat. They're loud. I didn't want any of that. I wanted the truck to be the same as it was, but be LS swapped. So it looks as stock as it possibly can. It's a stock hood. There's no hood pins on it. There's no racing wheels. There's no traction adders back there. It's just what it was. Everything in the interior works on it. And the truck got 25.5 miles to the gallon cruising down the highway. Always done great. It did 20 to 21 in town. It always had great gas mileage. Really potent. We put it on the dyno. I don't have an aggressive tune on it. It's pretty much just tuned for 87, because I drove it out of state so much and I daily drove it that a lot of the stations I run into, or I shouldn't say a lot, a few of the stations I run into don't have 93 octane. So I decided that I didn't want to put it on the 93 tune, because if I got in a bind and couldn't run it, it'd be an issue. So I just left it on 87, tuned it on that, and we put it on a Mustang dyno a few years ago, three or 4 years ago, somewhere in there. We put it on a Mustang dyno, and it dynoed 285 horsepower and 334 pound-feet of torque to the wheels. It's a bone stock LR4 4.8. It has the shorty headers, the Sanderson shorty headers on it. It's true dual 2.5 exhaust, no X-pipe or anything, because I didn't have the money for that when I built it. It's true dual all the way out with 2 Borla Pro XS mufflers mounted right behind the rear bumper. When we get in there to do the transmission, you guys will see that. Yo, this thing looks like I dug it out of a swamp. Got it up in the air. Everything is covered in this like nasty, moldy, mildewy stuff. Like bad. I don't know why I don't have that bolted down. There's probably a reason, but dude, like we live in the South, man. We don't even have rust. And look at how much rust is on that. It's crazy. Exhaust is rusty as all hell. I did drive it in the snow once. Probably wasn't my best idea. Apparently I've got an oil leak somewhere. It's my ghetto skid plate welded with a Harbor Freight 90 amp flux core to keep from slamming into the drain plug and knocking it out again like I kept doing. Oh, the gas tank cover's falling down. The drive shaft used to be solid black. I don't know what happened to it. Looks like I got a grease coming out of the U-joints there, something going on. Figure that out. There's the mufflers under it. This thing is rough. Way rougher than I thought it would be. Never imagined it would have that much buildup on it. A hell of an oil leak though. Yeah, I've got to figure that out. Might not fix it now. Probably won't fix it now. Send it while I build the 5.3. Power steering's leaking, but that's a hose that keeps blowing off. Look at the harmonic balancer. Look how rusty that thing is. Like, dude, why is it so rusty? Unless it's all that salt I drove it through. I did drive it in the snow one time, and it was salt on the roads. It was bad. The truck had a bigger issue of rust ever since then, because we normally don't get a lot of that down here in Arkansas. But man, this thing's been sitting a hot minute. Dirt daubers on everything. Dirt daubers on the shock. It's dripping power steering fluid on me. Dirt daubers in the control arms. Power steering fluid blowing all over the drop springs. Say DJM 2-inch spindles with a DJM 1-inch spring on CalMax shocks, which look like, God, they're like 100 years old. They're actually not that old. 33 millimeter sway bar, bigger sway bar. Had to upgrade that. The stock one's a 20 something. I'd forgot now. The little tiny ones that came on here, way too small. So that 33 helped a lot in cornering with this LS in it. There's the AC compressor. It is in there. Really close to the frame, but it does work. Though we have a new method of doing this that actually frees up more room. We set these engines really far back in here, as far back as we can get them, but we still always have a slight issue with that. We try to set them low and far back because I'm running a stock V6 radiator in there. I'm running a stock V6 fuel pump in there. I have all truck accessories, no Camaro, Corvette, no relocation brackets, aftermarket, none of that. All stock stuff in the stock location. Stock truck intake with Vortec cover. All fits in stock sheet metal with the electric fans. The radiator is not recessed. It's in the stock location. It works. I mean, it's tight. It's a real tight fit, but I mean, I've built a few of them that were based on this. And there's more dirt daubers up in there. Man, everywhere. There's a huge nest fell off of. There was a huge nest that fell off of it whenever we moved it from the driveway earlier. But yeah, see all the glorious underside of this thing. This might be a bigger project than I thought. We'll get it running though. It'll be running. That's gonna happen. But yeah, she's rough, real rough. I had no idea the underside had gotten that bad on it. And to be fair, you really can't get underneath it on the ground. So much just grassy mold. Man, it's bad. That oil leak's really bad though. I guess the power steering leak is worse because it's just sitting there dripping. Let's see if we can see where it's actually leaking at. There's 2 hose clamps there on a barb coming out of the pump, and if you look at it, you can see where the hose is slid back away from the little flare on the barb. That's something that's been happening for a while. I think the hose is actually just bad. It keeps deteriorating on me. So we're gonna get that fixed at some point. Get the power steering going. Whew, man, this thing's rough. It's kind of half joking about resurrecting an LS swapped S10, but this is almost a rebuild. This is way worse than I thought it was. But this truck's my baby, and we're gonna spruce it up because, you know, I love the truck. I want to keep driving it. Really miss driving this thing. It's so much fun. So we're gonna get this thing fixed up, get her back on the road. Yeah, so this is This is my baby. This is one of my rides that's been horribly neglected for a while now. I've been so busy with the shop and everything else going on. I honestly just have not had time to mess with the truck, and it's a big part of why I bought the Corvette is just to have something else to drive and, you know, have fun in while I try to figure out what I want to do with this. But I do have the cam at the house. I have all the gaskets. I have the push rods. I have the trunnion kit, the valve springs. I have almost everything for the engine. I just need bearings and rings, and to have the block and crank and everything sent to the machine shop. Have the rod sized, have the block gone through, honed out whatever it needs, and then have the crank polished on it. And it'll be getting an L33 in it, 799 heads on that motor. I do need to get a stall in order to run the cam that I bought. I'm going to need a 3000 stall, so I'm working towards getting one of those while I'm getting the engine built and everything. But like I said, that's future projects. But I figured I'd introduce you guys to my little S10, which is affectionately known as Little Blue. It's been named that forever, since I got it. Actually, I had a full-size red truck, and this was the Little Blue one, and then it just kind of evolved into Little Blue, and that's what it's always been called. But yeah, so that's my OG swap. So here in the next video, we'll get it up in the air, get it tore into, get the transmission out, figure out what I broke in the transmission. Though I'm pretty sure it's the converter. We just want to make sure that it's only the converter and that I didn't send metal through the transmission. So I'll figure that out, and you guys will see that on the upcoming video. This one will be spaced out a little bit. Customer cars come first. Got to pay the bills, got to get customer stuff done. But here and there when I have time, we'll be working on this, and y'all get to see a lot more of it. So see you in the next video.